And I think now we should transition into like where this is all leading, and like what is the sort of what is the context under which this movie was released, and that is clearly the 2024 election, and the fact that we have seen like an article in Politico, and it's just basically about how the Democrats are looking to 2024, and they're like, it's Kamala or Pete, and that's the future of our party.
We just got exposed to
God
like
damn
the X-ray of his soul, as he called it at one point, his campaign. He says at one point in that fucking movie, says, many people say that campaigning is a MRI for the soul. I would like to know who has ever said that, because that is some serial killer shit. I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to mean.
I would like to see the results of that MRI. Is it just a fucking black cell?
They'd be like, are you wearing a lead outfit?
Like, this is the most swagless beta in the world.
Yeah.
And according to conventional wisdom, it is him in 2024 to replace Biden, or it is Kamala Harris.
And okay,
that's the option.
And
just the 30K election that Felix predicting might happen sooner than we thought.
I mean,
it might go lower than 30K after this.
Yeah,
because like if you had an entire summer of Pete as a presidential candidate, people are like burning their voter registration cards in the street like draft cards in 1970.
Yeah. And okay, so like the context I want to get into is like, okay, there's an article last week about how like the party's future is either Pete Buttigieg or Kamala Harris, and I want to dive into this CNN article today, which relies on the over a dozen anonymous sources in the vice president and president's office talking shit about Kamala, that like clearly, given the choice between the sitting vice president and his transportation secretary, they are clearly think the transportation secretary is a better bet for them in 2024.
You know what? I don't know if that's the case, because I read this article, and I think you could make, like, on its face, because of the loser stink wafting off of every quote in this piece, and how it emphasizes dysfunction in Harris's office, and the fact that the author Isaac DeVore is a like Democratic Party cutout 100%.
Oh yeah,
it does feel like, oh, they put the beam on her, but that is a subtext you can read from it. But the actual article really is exculpatory. It is a bunch of people complaining that people aren't being nice enough and helping Kamala enough. Like, that's the actual text, and these people are so up their own asses at this point that it wouldn't rule me out that the Democratic Party is like, oh no, nobody likes Kamala. Well, let's complain to the press about how everyone's being mean to her.
That's the Hillary strategy.
They thought people would like that, because they would like that, because they care very much about fairness.
Well,
and this whiner, this whining, this Martin Prince teacher where you forgot to assign her homework, loser whining in this fucking piece comes off as sympathetic to people in a certain lanyard class. It's only to regular people that this appears disgusting and repellent and loser talk.
But also, I mean, the article does like, I mean, it's Kamala's people. It's a number of people, and they're complaining that Biden is essentially handicapping her, and
yes,
Biden is not doing enough.
That's the pitch here.
And like she was chosen by Biden to be his VP. Her approval rating is lower than Biden's is right now.
Yes,
and they're speculating about like they're looking for ways to fucking just offload this dead weight. And Kamala is feeling like she is not being groomed for office as you would expect of someone who is the sitting vice president for a guy who is 90 years old and of dubious mental capacity.
I think there's absolutely a faction of the Democratic Party that is doing that. And they're probably the ones close to Biden. But I'm still not sure if this article is their doing, their leaks, or the leaks of the pro-Kamala faction. Because I honestly think it could be either. Maybe both at the same time, not knowing that they're both contributing to the same project.
Let's suss it out here. I'm just going to read. The article begins. Worn out by what they see as an entrenched dysfunction and lack of focus, key West Wing aides have largely thrown up their hands at Vice President Kamala Harris and her staff, deciding there simply isn't time to deal with them right now, especially at a moment when President Joe Biden faces quickly multiplying legislative and political concerns. The exasperation runs both ways. Interviews with nearly 36 former and current Harris aides, administration officials, Democratic operatives, donors, and outside advisors who spoke exclusively to CNN reveal a complex reflects reality inside the White House. Many in the vice president's circle fume that she's not being adequately prepared or positioned, and instead is being sidelined. The vice president herself has told several confidants she feels constrained in what she's able to do politically, and those around her remain wary of even hinting at future political ambitions, with Biden's team highly attuned to signs of disloyalty, particularly from the vice president. Going on here, it says, defenders and people who care for Harris are getting frantic. When they're annoyed, some pass around an Onion story mocking her lack of more substantive political work, one with the headline, White House urges Kamala Harris to sit at computer all day in case emails come through. When they're
I love how they think that that's sympathetic to her, that article isn't making fun of her. That's amazing.
Yeah. When they're depressed, they bat down the Aaron Sorkin-style rumor that Biden might try to replace her by nominating her to a Supreme Court vacancy. That chatter has already reached top levels of the Biden orbit, according to one person who's heard it. And they go on to talk about how she really did not want to be the point person for Biden's border policy.
Yeah, no
and,
shit.
I mean, I don't blame her, because they put her out here to say, do not come.
Don't come.
Don't come.
Don't come.
And she correctly recognizes that all the issues she's being given, they're like, Kamala, you're taking point on this, are the absolute dogs and losers that there's no fucking, she's going to get no fucking points from anyone for doing. And it goes on here. It says, when Biden picked Harris as his running mate, he was essentially anointing her as the future of the Democratic Party. Now many of those close to her feel like he's shirking his political duties to promote her and essentially setting her up to fail. Her fans are panicked, watching her poll numbers sink even lower than Biden's, worrying that even the base Democratic vote is starting to give up on her. Kamala Harris is a leader, but is not being put in positions to lead. That doesn't make sense. We need to be thinking long term, and we need to be doing what's best for the party, said a top donor to Biden and other Democrats. Imagining how to make the case directly to the president. You should be putting her in positions to succeed as opposed to putting weights on her. If you did give her the ability to step up and help her lead, it would strengthen you and strengthen the party. On the one issue Harris has asked to be assigned, voting rights, progress has been slow in part because Biden is focused on passing his own domestic agenda, even though Harris has said privately the filibuster must be scaled back if real progress can be achieved. Biden has said as much publicly, too. And though Harris has told confidants that she has been enjoying the good working dynamic directly with Biden, those who work for them describe their relationship in terms of settling into an exhausted stalemate. Suspicion has sprouted out of the bitterness. Last month, White House aides leapt to the defense of Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, who was being hammered with outrage by Fox News host Tucker Carlson and like-minded online pundits for taking paternity leave after the adoption of his twins in September. Harris loyalists tell CNN they see in that yet another example of an unfair standard at play, wondering why she didn't get similar cover any of the time she's been attacked by the right.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to miss the specific energy that the White House brings to defend a white man, knowing that Kamala Harris has spent almost a year taking a lot of the hits that the West Wing didn't want to take themselves, said a former Harris aide, reflecting conversations last month among several former aides and current allies. It goes here. White House aides say they weren't pitting one against each other. Going on, it says, that's different from when Harris has created problems for herself. White House aides believe, such as when she didn't push back on a student who accused Israel of ethnic genocide. West Wing aides weren't going to clean that up after her. But even when Harris has faced her own manufactured outrage from the right, like when an innocuous tweet about enjoying the long Memorial Day weekend was said to be her insulting dead veterans, White House aides also remained virtually silent.
I mean, I do have to say to Kamala, it's like, are you fucking new here? These people gave you a husband and 2 stepkids. They found a 55-year-old Jewish man for you to have a marriage with. Are you new? Did you just start at the Democrats this week?
Your husband doesn't have a belly button, Kamala. You should know how this works.
Oh my God! Yeah, no, it's. I mean, what does she expect? Jeez, what did you think was going to happen in the Biden administration?
She wants somebody to fix it for her. It's a participation trophy culture. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Like, she's trying so hard. It's not fair. Like, you're supposed to give a shit. Lady, you're vice president. You're trying to become president. We don't have your power. What are you we're supposed to feel sympathetic for you? I thought politics was supposed to be the other way around. I thought the politicians were supposed to sympathize with us, feel our pain and all that bullshit if they couldn't do anything else. Now you're supposed to feel bad for politicians.
It's the same thing with actors. It's like what you were saying about Kumail and his dysmorphia. It's like see Eternals to make him feel better about himself. See the new Ghostbusters so Ivan Reitman can fucking get over his daddy issues. And then vote for the Democrats so Kamala can feel better about being,
exactly.
Yeah, and the border thing is like, okay, well, you know what you would do if you wanted to be the most powerful person in the world? You would take this awful situation that you are the guy who you willingly were the vice president and said, yes, I'll do this. The party that you have devoted your entire fucking life to, I remind you, the party that gave you a family, okay? You would go, wow, well, this doesn't look good, but maybe I can have some rhetorical flourish that will make people not as mad at it. Maybe I can do that. No, it's just feel bad for me. I'm the real victim of the border because I'm the asshole they're yelling at.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. I mean, yeah. I don't even want to give this idea to Democrats. They don't deserve it. They don't deserve any of my great ideas.
Of course not.
But Kamala is a loser. Pete is nothing.
Yep.
But you know who are neither of those things? You know who's someone who is everything, and you know who's someone who's a winner? Two currently elected Democrats. One who has won a statewide election. One who has won an election in a city that might as well be a state. I'm talking about the super ticket, something we've never tried before. A neuroatypical black man and a large man who really isn't that smart, but is very likable. Something Democrats have never tried. Eric Adams and J.B. Pritzker.
Oh, man.
I thought you were going to say Bill de Blasio.
No, Bill de Blasio. Bill de Blasio he's going to be
also, you can't, unless you want to sacrifice New York's electoral votes, you can't have two people from the same state on the same ticket.
Yeah, no way.
I disagree. I think an all New York ticket would be a blue wave election.
Probably because everyone does move to New York. Everyone loves it. But I just like JB.
You have to balance Adams's veganism. You got to have somebody who likes to party and eats a sausage. You gotta balance it.
Eric Adams likes to party.
Yeah, but I mean like tailgate party, like Midwest party.
Okay, yeah.
You got to get those people. Like they don't know about going to the club, they know about going to the grill, and they fucking they know that JB gets that.
When people in Chicago say they're hungover, they literally mean they're hungover from eating too much food.
Yes, yep.
That is the main thing they do.
And that goes for a whole like that third coast culture that we come from. Those are all electoral votes up for grabs, and all of those people are hungover from meat.
Yes. JB is like, okay, what I think is most important about JB is, all Pete's idiots and Pete's fucking journalist helpers are like, oh, he's so smart. I mean, A, he's not.
No.
He's not. He's nothing. JB, no one thinks JB is smart. JB doesn't think JB is smart. But that doesn't, Biden won because Biden is not smart and has never been smart.
And also, JB had a similarly endearing trans gaffe as Biden did, because Biden has, of course, the hilarious "there's at least three genders," and JB had the amazing tweet where he said, "To protest anti-trans bathrooms legislation, you should go into the other gender bathroom as a."
And when he said, when people got mad at him for that, he was like, I didn't mean it literally.
Yeah.
He's
and
awesome.
You know what? It was like, okay, JP, don't worry about it. Just like with Biden.
Well, because I mean, like the common denominator here is that they're not whiners.
Yes,
they're not fucking whiner. I mean,
right.
Kamala's a whiner, and Pete is just a zero.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's got nothing going on, and if they run either Kamala or Pete in 2024. Yep. I don't care who the Republicans put up there. If it's Trump, he may win all 50 states.
Oh, God.
If it's any other Republican, it's going to be terrible.
Like you're going to see
McGovern.
You're going to see an acceleration of the non-college educated move towards Democrats across all demographics, and even more importantly, you're going to see a continuation of the drop-in voter participation among traditional Democratic constituencies.
Unless it's Eric and JB.
You're correct.
Those
about
are your
this,
only
by the
guys.
way. And here's the important thing: you don't have to say like, "Oh, what about their positions versus vis-a-vis each other?" There's no difference. This is the Democratic Party. Nothing has anything to do with policies. Those policies are set in corporate boardrooms. These guys are just playing in front of the camera for us. So who do you want to do that? Who do you want to be the cork in the stopper preventing like full fascism that you're so terrified of? If you're a Democrat, this will do it.
If every election's the most important election of our lives, I can only think of 2 Democrats that people will find likable. You could say, no, Gruesome Gavin is not playing.
Oh,
no.
No.
No way.
No way.
They love his shit, but like, he leaves those borders. His powers are worth nothing. Gruesome Gavin, people over there, they love it when their governor goes to evil weddings. They love that he's slick. They love that he's aerodynamic. They love that he's fucked everyone in the state. People in the rest of America, no, not so much. They see JB, a good-natured, large man who inherited a fortune and is spending his dividends on ribs. They see Eric Adams, a man who lies for seemingly no reason at all. They see themselves. That's us. That's who we are. That's America.
Yep.
Give us that.
Because Adams was strongest in the primary among voters who failed to turn out for Hillary and would do so again in a similar condition.
Eric Adams, I want to see, I'm not saying just anoint these guys. I think we need an introduction period. I would like to see Eric debate Kamala. I think he would.
You know what Eric Adams did? Either before he officially won the election or right after. Do you know what he did? He went to Monaco.
I know. He went to
fucking Monaco, like James fucking Bond. He was just fucking just stunting in Monaco. He went up to the fucking. He's like, I'll blow $10,000 at the craps tables. Who gives a fuck?
He probably, knowing Eric Adams, he probably went up to a blackjack table and said, "Put it all on black." And we were like, "What?"
the thing that needs to be reminded about Adams is that this is a guy who has been trying to become mayor for like 30 years, and he has been like on a success grind mindset nonstop for that entire time. He has been like,
but he still has fun though,
improving himself. Like eye on the ball, like all that stuff to like make it up the ranks. First the police department and then state politics. It's purely through grind set, and it worked. People thought he was a joke. He ran for Congress in the early '90s when he was still a cop. He couldn't even get on the ballot. He tried to do like a write-in. It was a joke. He's the fucking mayor of New York.
He's the only Democrat, a Democrat from New York City, mind you, and Fort Lee, New Jersey, who. He would win Utah.
Honestly.
Because his life is an MLM.
Yes, it is.
JB.
He's the other because he hasn't gritted at all, but he's nice and jolly about it because of that. Because he hasn't had to work for it. Noblesse oblige defined. Like a fucking, like a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man made of noblesse oblige and bonhomie.
It's the, dude, this is not just a solution to Democrats' problems. This is the only way you keep America going as a unified country.
Absolutely.
Well, we've just outlined a way out of this brutal death trap of either Kamala or Pete running for president in 2024. Let's see if the Democrats take our advice. Let's see what they do.
Yeah, let's see how this goes. I know where I'm putting my money. That's for sure.
It is going to be what it actually is going to be. Michael Bloomberg. And Val Dennings.
Yeah, that'll be it.
Yeah, and it's gonna be Trump and Trump's VP. Pence is out.
He's done for.
Oh yeah, no way.
Maybe DeSantis.
I think Trump doesn't like DeSantis.
Yeah, he's too threatened by
Trump. Trump is such. Yeah,
my dream would be my pillow guy.
I think it should be Mike Lindell. I think Trump would probably want to pick Lindell. I think that people in his orbit would say it's too weird, but he's not. He'll never pick DeSantis because Trump is he thinks of himself like an aging starlet.
Yeah. Very Star is Born deal. Yeah, all about Eve style.
He sees DeSantis, who's like the one Republican with a national profile who has like any little bit of swag.
Yeah,
and DeSantis, I love what DeSantis does, where like. Once every 2 months, they kill everyone in Florida, and then they're like, "Oh, how come no one's talking about how our cases are lower now?"
After 10,000 people died,
you gave everyone COVID. Like, okay,
every new variant, it burns through the population of Florida like a fucking forest fire. And then when it's out, he's just like, "Funny how no one's talking about our caseload is among the lowest in the nation."
That's a pretty funny move.
Yeah, it rules.
I do think someone told me that the vaccination numbers in Florida are artificially inflated because rich people from Latin America come to Florida to get vaccinated, and then they count that towards their vaccination score.
That sounds about right.
That sounds
Which,
right.
it makes sense because it's like Florida always had a higher rate than I thought of, but it's like, oh, holy shit, they're like getting fucking. It's what I don't know. I don't want to get too much into COVID discussion. I think that like a lot of things with the virus are more out of our control than we'd like them to be.
Yeah.
But just like like to do that after all those people died, to be like, well, look at that. We beat COVID for the 5th time this year. It's so fun. Such a good move. Such a great move.
And it works too. Because again, you can put the numbers on TV and you're like, oh, look, we're down. Look, we have very low. And it's just like, okay, put that next to your population.
He's got the swag, but like that is specifically what Trump doesn't like about him. And Lindell has swag, but Lindell is like to borrow a great term from my favorite philosopher, Richard James Bankston, FaZe Banks. Mike Lindell will sit on the knee for Trump. He's no spring chicken. He just loves Trump.
What about Boebert as a VP?
Ooh. Now you're talking.
He wouldn't pick MG. Yeah. He wouldn't pick MTG because she's busted.
No,
Frank, she's just unattractive. But I think Boebert. I think he could like squint at her and be like, "Okay, come on over here."
Yeah.
And I don't. And because he's a woman, I don't think he'd be threatened by her.
You know what's gonna be the funniest thing is when all those guys who are like trying to like a dude who's running as like a national conservative in Arizona, they all audition to be the VP, and Trump just breezes past them. All those teal dudes.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. No, he's going to pick a star.
Yeah.
You're not a star, baby.
I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. Blitzer.
I think no matter what, things are looking up. We're either going to live in the Pritzker-Adams Imperium or we're finally going to break this thing up.
And, I mean, people may...
Yes.
And, people may, they may raise their eyebrows at us boosting J.B. Pritzker or Eric Adams, but keep in mind that we're literally communist, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're literally communist. J.B. Pritzker would be the end of neoliberalism. Do you realize that?
Yep.
It died in, let's say, March. It came back. It's back again. We're going to kill it again. And then when it comes back a 3rd time, JB will end it.
It's like COVID in Florida.
Yes. We've beaten neoliberalism for the 7th time this year.